You thought I was done with the Black Friday content, but we are just getting started. So here we're looking at PS5 games in the Black Friday sale, which I know doesn't appeal to everyone on the channel. In fact, I think I did a poll recently where most people said they have a PS4 still, but for all you PS5 stans like me, because I'm not a PS5 stan, I don't rate the PS5 that much. There are a bunch of PS5 games discounted though. Some of these are good deals, some of them are just games that have never been discounted before, so let's take a look at them. But if you're looking for cheap deals and discounts at the PlayStation Store, I did a deals under $20, deals under $15, and deals under $10, so you can find some super cheap games there. If you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below. It would help me out enormously, and it's completely free to do, and you help me by realizing my career of becoming a YouTuber. All right, PlayStation 5 deals. Let's have a look at them. There was like 20 games in here, so let's fire through these pretty quickly. We've got Back 4 Blood Standard Edition available on PS4 and PS5, $41.99, so it's not the cheapest price ever, but the game only came out literally 30 days ago. So having this game discounted so quickly and a pretty decent discount of 30% off is a pretty good price. Back 4 Blood's a co-op, 4-person, squad-based zombie shooter made by the same guys who did Left 4 Dead. So if you enjoyed that game back in the day, this one is an option. Around the same time as that, Guardians of the Galaxy, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy came out. This is a PS4, PS5 SKU, so again, you're getting two versions of the game for $38.99. I know a lot of you guys probably held off on this one because you're thinking, Avengers wasn't very good. I don't want to do that. Well, actually, it's a lot better than the Avengers game was. It's still not an amazing game, but I enjoyed it as a pretty standard AAA third-person action game. You get to play as Star-Lord and get thrown into a bunch of Guardians of the Galaxy-esque scenarios. It's kind of silly like the movies are. It's got really cool soundtrack to it as well. The Guardians of the Galaxy bicker and fight as you play through with them. It's just a shame you couldn't control all of the characters in this one, and instead it's just one, but apart from that, the game is pretty decent. I give it my tick of approval. Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. This one is both PS4 and PS5. Again, this one's down to $49. It's a high price for this one. Honestly, I think it should be a bit cheaper given it was a PS4 game, but obviously they're pushing the Director's Cut now, which is the complete edition. It's basically the full game with its additional DLC content, the multiplayer, and that added on single player story thing as well, plus PS5 enhancements. So you're getting quite a bit of content here. Ghost of Tsushima is great. Open world, third person action game. If you enjoy any of Sony's narrative driven third person game like God of War, Uncharted, Horizon Zero Dawn, fits into exactly that camp. Played any of those, you know exactly what you're in for here, but set in a feudal Japan setting. Great game. One of the best games that came out last year. In fact, probably the best sort of AAA-esque game that did come out last year. Deathloop, which is another one that only came out a couple of months ago, is already 50% off. This is somewhat concerning for a game like this. I haven't actually checked Deathloop out yet, but I did pull the trigger and pick it up during this sale because I thought for $30, it's a pretty decent price. Deathloop is made by Arcane Studios, the guys that worked on the Dishonored franchise, and this is more of a first-person stealth action game. You're trying to kill the other assassins. Well, the two assassins are trying to kill each other and complete their objective, but they're in this Groundhog Day-esque loop where they die and then they rinse and they repeat. Kind of an interesting premise for a game. I think the marketing for this was really cool and stylish, felt very James Bond-esque. Don't know if the game really performed as well as they might have hoped it would. Sadly, this is probably the last PlayStation 5, PlayStation exclusive Bethesda game we will ever get as well, so there's that. Spiderman Miles Morales, 40% off, $30. It's a weird one. I have a hard time recommending it for a couple of reasons. The game is great. There is nothing wrong with the game. It is a really fun third-person action game. If you played Spider-Man, it's exactly the same thing, just probably enhanced and slightly different. It's a completely different story, same setting, same environments, just a more compact adventure. Great game though, nothing wrong with it. The challenge I have is the price point is just so high for a game that is so short. You'll finish the game in like 7 to 8 hours. It's a pretty small experience, but it is almost a must play at this point on the PS5, given there aren't a huge amount of like PS5 exclusives. So I do have a hard time recommending it, but it is great on the same vein. So that's where it kind of sits in my camp. This one is another one that's similar, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, which is arguably the best PS5 game that has come out in 2021, but it is still Ratchet & Clank. That's not a knock at Ratchet & Clank or anything. I love Ratchet. I love mascot platformers. I have mascot platformers all over my environment. I think Crash is down there somewhere. Fantastic game. Setting was great. Story was great. In fact, I couldn't fault the game. There was nothing wrong with it. Problem was, for a AAA game, Ratchet isn't the AAA game I was wanting. I was wanting something a bit more spectacular than that. And for as good as a Ratchet game can get, it's never going to meet the heights for me as a God of War or an Uncharted or a Last of Us. It's just not as a Ratchet game. It's just not going to be able to do that and achieve that. So while this game was fantastic, and I really don't actually have any downsides for it except for maybe the price point is a little bit too high, that's probably my only criticism here as well. It's $50 when it probably should be a little bit cheaper than that. So Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, good one to pick up if you have a PS5 and you're looking for something to play those. So, you know, it is a good purchase. Resident Evil The Village, another game that I just have not gotten into. I love Resident Evil, famously so. I talk about it all the time, and I just couldn't get into this game. It's not a situation of the game being bad, it was just wrong headspace at the wrong time for me. I am looking to jump back into this one, hopefully towards the back of this year before Christmas. It's 30 bucks, 50% off. Good price point for this one, I'd say. It's a good, decent AAA game. If you're looking for something spooky and horror-filled to play, I think this is a really good option. It follows the first-person trajectory of Resident Evil, similar to Resident Evil 7, so it is a bit of a departure from the originals, but it still holds a lot of that RE DNA in there as well. So Resident Evil 7, good price for this one. Demon's Souls, I have the same problem as Miles Morales with this one. It's a year-old game, only 43% off, and it really should be a bit more than this. The difference, I guess, is that it is a full game, albeit a remaster or remake of a game that came out 10 or 15 years ago. It is a full Souls-like experience, and it's great. Runs fantastically on the PS4, looks great, plays great as well. If you're into Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Demon's Souls is a must-buy, I would say. But it is still a little bit pricey for a game that came out over a year ago now. Returnal fits into the same camp, and I'm just complaining about prices at this point. It doesn't even feel very fair, but Returnal was 50 bucks. I still think it's a little bit high for this one. I think maybe hold off till it gets a little bit cheaper. 29% off. I feel like it should be probably have been this price at launch, honestly, given what this is. Returnal is a roguelite game. The studio is an indie studio that was acquired by Sony, so I guess technically now you can say it's like a Sony first-party game. I think it was second-party when it launched. Game plays well, it reviewed very well. Price is just a little bit high for what you're getting here in terms of an unearned commodity. Returnal is one that I do really want to check out. I'm just waiting a little bit longer to pull the trigger on. Lost Judgment for $41.99. This is the sequel to the previous Judgment game that came out on the PS4, the spin-off Yakuza series games, which basically takes the Yakuza games but makes you a cop and adds detective elements and things like that into the games as well. Really, really cool concept for a game here. I dig this series. I think it's really, really good. Great game. Lost Judgment is good as well. It follows exactly the same path that you would expect from those games. Gets a thumbs up from me. Hades, another roguelike game. Interesting that these have made a bit of a resurgence on PlayStation 5. It was a massive Game of the Year material last year in 2020. 20 bucks for this one. Pretty decent price point. This one is obviously across the board reviews exceptionally well. If you enjoy roguelike games, it's a good one to check out. If you don't like that style of game though, I would say it might not be for you because it's not for everybody. It's definitely an acquired taste on this one. Okay, Death Stranding Director's Cut. This one is $39.99. This is for the base game of Death Stranding. There's also a digital deluxe edition which comes with additional content as well. Death Stranding is your third-person narrative action game made by Hideo Kojima. It's pretty good, but you have to be in the right headspace to want to play a game like this. It is a walking simulator at heart. That is the reality of this game. That's what it is, but it does have a really, really strong narrative behind it with Norman Reedus featured in there as well, and the quality storytelling that comes with a Kojima game, which is honestly kind of wild. Subnautica Below Zero, we've talked about this in a separate video. Subnautica is a survival game where you are basically underwater, or in this one, in an icy underwater environment. You have to survive and build a base and eat and research and all this sort of stuff. This game is 30% off, 20 bucks. Good price for this one. A lot of you hopefully have checked this one out when the original game became free as part of the stay-at-home initiative. So this is now available as well if you want to check out the sequel. Borderlands 3 is 15 bucks. This is a fantastic price for this one. You're getting the PS4 and the PS5 version of the game. First-person looter shooter style game. I hate that phrasing, but it really is a first-person RPG. Kind of was the first of its kind, I would say. Now it's not that uncommon to see these kind of games, but back then it was. It's got a really distinctive cel-shaded art style to it as well. Really good checkout if you're looking for a shooter game to play. Along the same game of shooters, we have Doom Eternal, which came out at the beginning of 2020. Relatively new game here as well on both PS4 and PS5 for 15 bucks, 75% off. Doom is a really classic first-person, fast-paced kinetic game. Basically about moving really quickly and destroying enemies as quickly as possible. Watch Dogs Legion, the weakest in the Watch Dogs series for 15 bucks. PS4 and PS5. I know that people have varying opinions on this one. I didn't personally enjoy it as much as the previous iterations in the franchise, but it is a Ubisoft game. There is a level of quality that comes with Ubisoft games. So you're still getting a AAA quality game, massive open world game here if you're into third-person open world adventure games. Good one to pick up. Metro Exodus Gold Edition for 12 bucks. Fantastic price on this one as a PS4 and a PS5 game. First person survival horror style game. Probably more action adventure, I would say. If you're classifying it as action adventure, but the tone of it is more survival horror. Great game here. Great price for this one. Quality of game you're getting in this one is exceptionally good. I think it's discounted so heavily because it's part of Xbox's Game Pass thing, so they've probably done the same on PlayStation to discount it as low as possible. Good quality, high quality game here. There you go, a bunch of PS5 games. I tried to rapid fire these these to keep this video as short as possible. Hopefully you enjoyed. Let me know what you're picking up from the sale in the comment section down below. Leave a like if you haven't already, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Hello again, Patreon, you beautiful bastards. Thank you to each and every one of the folks over here on the right hand side for supporting me over on Patreon or as a YouTube channel member this month. Each and every one of you folks keeps the channel running. If you too want to be an absolute legend like these guys over here, you can support me on Patreon. Use the link in the description down below. Giving only $1 helps out this channel. So if you want to support even further, you can do that. You can also become a channel member down below as well by hitting the join channel button, and you get access to cool emotes and the logo next to your name showing that you're a supporter. Thank you all so very much for supporting the channel.